Episode 1, The Return to Arawak opening scene. The camera pans over the dense, fog-covered woods surrounding Camp Arawak, a dilapidated yet somehow nostalgic camp, nestled on the edge of a lake. The sun sets over the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows across the abandoned buildings. A voiceover from Angela Baker, now an adult, echoes, "Some places, you can never escape. The darkness. The memories. And the camp that never let go." ACT1. The camp has just reopened, following years of closure after a series of tragic events that led to the camp's abandonment. A fresh batch of teenagers, new counselors, and eager campers are arriving. Angela is now a counselor, seemingly quiet and withdrawn. She's often seen gazing into the distance, as if reliving something painful. Her eerie, distant stare gives away that she knows more about the camp's sinister past than anyone realizes. Key scenes. Angela shows the counselors around the camp, pointing out old cabins and landmarks. The camp is old and run down, with patches of mold on the walls and broken windows. Tommy, a camp counselor, jokes about it feeling like a horror movie set, but Angela's solemn response, "This place isn't a joke," silences him. Julie, the camp's head counselor, is enthusiastic, trying to ensure the staff is ready for the season. She's determined to make the camp a success but can't shake the sense that something is off. She insists that everyone leave the past behind, though she, too, is unsettled by the camp's history. Meanwhile, Eddie, a charismatic yet troubled teen, arrives at the camp, hoping for a fresh start. He's quick to make friends with the other counselors, including Kate, a more introspective girl who seems equally drawn to the camp's strange aura. As the group gets settled, the camp's old mysteries come into play. A camper, Samantha, gets lost in the woods but returns later, claiming she heard whispers calling her name. She describes the voice as oddly familiar. The counselors brush it off as her imagination, but the unsettling moment lingers. ACT2. The first night at camp takes a darker turn. After lights out, a group of campers hears strange noises echoing from the woods, whispers, rustling trees, and what sounds like footsteps. Julie brushes it off as animals or the wind, but Kate and Eddie begin to question it. Eddie, who has a deep interest in horror and mysteries, convinces Kate to investigate, but they find nothing unusual, yet both feel as if they're being watched. Key scenes. Angela seems unaffected by the strange noises and instead spends her night staring into the darkness from the porch of the main lodge. She starts recalling childhood memories, some dark and painful, that tie her to the camp. In a dreamlike sequence, she remembers the events of the original Sleepaway camp, the horrific deaths, the fire, and her escape. Her face is emotionless, but we sense the weight of the memories. Meanwhile, a few campers report missing personal items, including Samantha's notebook and Tommy's camera. Julie brushes this off as mere accidents, but the unease within the group begins to grow. As the night progresses, the camera lingers on the camp's abandoned cabins, one of which was the site of a mysterious fire years ago. There are subtle clues, scratches on the wood, an old photo half-burned in the fireplace that seem to hint at something sinister. ACT3. The morning after the strange events, the staff holds a camp meeting to address the campers' concerns. Eddie expresses his skepticism, trying to keep things light-hearted, but his growing suspicion about something being off at the camp is clear. Kate asks Angela if she's heard anything odd the previous night. Angela only gives a cryptic response, "I've heard the voices for years. It's nothing new." Key scenes. The group goes on a hiking trip, where Angela leads them through the woods with unsettling calmness. As they walk past a forgotten memorial marker, the campers hear the faint sound of children laughing in the distance. Julie insists it's the wind, but the laughter grows louder, unnervingly clear. The group feels unsettled but continues on. Angela, however, stops at the marker, her expression darkening as she stares at it for a long moment. A camper, Ben, goes missing during the hike. Panic sets in as the group scrambles to search for him. However, when Ben finally reappears, he's dazed and covered in mud, claiming that he was just taking a nap in the woods. He's too calm, and his strange behavior only deepens the unease. ACT4. The episode ends with a terrifying moment that sets the tone for the series. That night, after Angela leaves the staff meeting early, the camera lingers on a seemingly empty cabin. The faint sound of someone crying echoes from within. When the counselors investigate, they find the cabin door open, but no one is inside. A blood-stained piece of fabric is found near the window. Cliffhanger. As Julie stands near the door, trying to make sense of the strange event, she turns and sees Angela standing in the woods, staring back at her. The wind picks up, and Angela disappears into the trees without a word. Julie is left to ponder if Angela is tied to the horrors of the camp or if she's just another victim of its haunted past. Themes in this episode: return to the past. The opening episode emphasizes the cyclical nature of trauma and the way the past always resurfaces, especially in a place like Camp Arawak. Isolation and paranoia. Despite being surrounded by others, the characters begin to feel a growing sense of isolation, worsened by their unsettling experiences. Mysterious connections. The episode introduces the idea that Angela might be more than just a counselor. She's a link to the camp's bloody history, and her presence seems to stir something ancient within the camp's grounds. The eerie tone, the slow-burn tension, and the strange occurrences set the stage for the darker events to come, leaving the audience questioning Angela's true role at Camp Arawak. Episode 2. The Dark History opening scene. The episode opens with a chilling shot of the camp's main lodge at night, bathed in an eerie glow from the full moon. A shadowy figure walks through the campgrounds, Angela. Her movements are deliberate, almost ritualistic, as she heads toward the woods, where the remnants of the camp's dark past still linger. She pauses at the old memorial, runs her fingers across a cracked stone, and whispers a name we can barely hear. The camera pulls back, showing the unsettling quiet of the camp, a place caught between time and memory. Act 1. The morning after the disturbing events from the previous night, the counselors are still reeling from the disappearance of Ben, who has mysteriously returned but now behaves strangely. The campers are on edge, nervous and whispering amongst themselves. Julie tries to put on a brave face but can feel the tension growing among the group. Angela seems unaffected by the strange occurrences, though her unsettling calm only deepens the suspicion around her. Key scenes. Tommy decides to investigate the dark history of Camp Arawak. He sneaks into the old office building and discovers a dusty stack of records, old photos, and articles about the camp's troubled past. As Tommy flips through the materials, we get a glimpse of old newspaper clippings detailing tragic accidents, mysterious disappearances, and rumors of violent outbursts. One article highlights a series of gruesome deaths that occurred many years ago. Some campers had drowned, while others were found with marks indicating violence, though no one could ever prove anything. Meanwhile, Eddie grows increasingly suspicious of Angela's behavior. He notices her watching the camp from the shadows, her eyes cold and distant. He asks Kate if she's noticed anything strange about Angela, but Kate dismisses his concerns, saying Angela just seems reserved and quiet. However, Eddie can't shake the feeling that Angela knows more than she's letting on. In a tense moment, the counselors gather to discuss the increasing number of strange incidents. The campers are unsettled, and several of them have asked to go home. Julie tries to calm everyone, but it's clear the camp's reopening might have been a mistake. As Julie dismisses the idea of shutting down, the camera lingers on a series of photographs hanging on the wall, a picture of the camp in its prime, showing a group of happy campers, and a more recent photo of the memorial, with a distinct, empty space where something, or someone, is missing. Act 2. Tommy's curiosity about the camp's history intensifies. He uncovers an old journal belonging to a former camp director, detailing bizarre incidents that occurred in the years leading up to the camp's closure. The journal mentions an incident that shook the camp to its core, the disappearance of a camper named Maggie, who vanished without a trace one summer. The journal also references the curse of Arawak, an eerie phrase that was scribbled repeatedly in the margins. Tommy becomes obsessed, but his investigation is cut short when Julie finds him rummaging through the old office. She warns him to leave the past where it belongs. Key scenes. Tommy confronts Julie about the journal, but she refuses to talk about it, urging him to focus on the present and make sure the campers are safe. Despite her protests, Tommy continues his research in secret, digging deeper into the dark events that led to the camp's sudden closure years ago. That night, as the counselors sit around a campfire with the campers, Samantha, the camper who heard the whispers in the woods, starts acting even more strangely. She becomes fixated on Angela, staring at her as if hypnotized. When Angela approaches her, Samantha suddenly snaps out of her trance and claims she saw something in the woods, a figure in the distance, watching her. The group laughs it off, but there's an undercurrent of tension. Eddie watches Angela carefully, as if trying to understand what role she plays in all of this. ACT3, the night grows colder, and strange occurrences continue. More campers report hearing the whispers again, and some of their belongings go missing. As the atmosphere becomes increasingly tense, the staff begins to crack under pressure. Julie holds a meeting to address the campers' fears, but her efforts to calm them are ineffective. The campers start to worry about their safety, with some demanding to leave. Key scenes. In a private conversation, Kate expresses her concerns to Julie about the growing unease in the camp. Julie orders all campers to stay inside their cabins, and a search party is sent into the woods. Cliffhanger. As the counselors begin their search, Eddie and Kate stumble upon a blood-stained trail near the old memorial. They follow it deeper into the woods, where they find Samantha's body horribly mutilated, her face twisted in terror. The final shot of the episode is of Angela standing nearby, staring at the body with an expression of cold detachment. She turns away without a word and walks into the darkness, leaving the others to grapple with the terrifying reality that one of their own might be responsible. Themes in this episode. The weight of history. Tommy's exploration of the camp's dark history introduces the idea that the camp is cursed, and the past is repeating itself. The journal entries and old photos reveal that these events are not new, but part of a cycle of violence that has haunted Camp Arawak for years. The struggle for control. Julie's attempts to keep control over the camp's reopening contrast with the rising panic among the counselors and campers. The camp is quickly becoming unmanageable, and the pressure on her intensifies. Suspicion and fear. The increasing number of disappearances and strange occurrences heightens the sense of distrust among the group. The counselors begin to question who they can trust, and Angela's mysterious connection to the camp only adds fuel to the fire. The episode ends with a sense of dread hanging over the camp, as the counselors must confront the terrifying possibility that the horrors of the past have not only returned, they've never left.